Welcome to the Monday, May 6th, 2024, first session of the Lake Forest City Council. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Certainly. Honorable Mayor Tack.
Here.
Alderman Novit.
Here.
Alderman Waldeck.
Present.
Alderman Notes.
Here.
Alderman Powers.
Here.
Alderman Kreschlack.
Here.
Alderman Gashgarian.
Here.
Alderman Weber.
Here.
Alderman Walder is absent. Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First item is comments by mayor, and at this time I will pass on that. We'll move to comments by city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, good evening. Before we get to all the festivities this evening, we do have one small presentation that is fitting in terms of its timing, given that we just had a wonderful celebration on Saturday to formally welcome the community, if you will, to the new Deer Path Park. And I think, as all of you know on the council, one of the important components to that project was incorporating technology into the campus out there to really distinguish and set us apart from comparable facilities elsewhere throughout the region, and to ensure a truly one-of-a-kind experience for our residents. So I've asked our Director of Innovation and Technology, Jim Shaw, just to provide a quick high-level overview of some of the neat features that exist out there. Jim?
Thank you, Jason. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Well, tonight, as Jason says, we're going to take a quick look at the Deer Path Community Park technology. We're going to take a look at some of the technology we rolled out and talk about some of our strategies. First goal, in looking at our goals, it was a given that we wanted to provide applications that are meaningful and useful to the residents and staff. Number two, we knew we had a severe challenge, a big challenge, in that we had a park roughly 9.5 acres, which would require power and connectivity for many of our systems. So, but the end result, the ultimate result, would be to create a park that sets us apart, that provides us a superior product. Now, in looking at that footprint of 9.5 acres, it provides or results in a lot of networking challenges. Traditional copper networking, as we know it today, Ethernet, twisted pair, is not usable on a plat that large. So we made the decision to adopt fiber. We have fiber surrounding the play area as well as running down the alley. It's connected to both the rec network, our city network, and the internet. It provides a lot of bandwidth, which is especially needed for some of these systems we're going to look at tonight. Now, what sits on top of that fiber is a Wi-Fi network. And that Wi-Fi network is currently rated for up to 800 concurrent users at 1 gigabit. It's used for both internal systems as well as resident access. It's free of charge. Anyone can use it. They can utilize it going to LF Guest and log in. Now, on top of the Wi-Fi network, we're providing information boards. These are located at both the north and southern pavilions. The content is customizable by us. Currently, we have a schedule and a map, but in the future, if we'd like, we can utilize programs, trailers, et cetera, advertisements, city announcements, so they're quite versatile. Now, security cameras, we do have a few. We have approximately half dozen security cameras scattered through the park. It's provided by a leader in technology, Verkada, who provides other cameras for us in other parts of the city, as well as all the cameras for the school systems in both Lake Forest and Highland Park. These cameras document activities. We retain 30 days of information and video. The video can be searched on regarding clothing color, regarding objects such as backpacks, bicycles, etc. So it has a lot of advanced features They can also be used to count people, count cars, etc. So we can use this as a method to gather metrics and information going forward. Now, one of the neat systems that we're incorporating in the new park is sports camera technology. And we started in 2022 at Everett Park with an evaluation of automated sports cameras. And these cameras are pretty amazing in that they will track activity. They run off of a schedule. It requires no intervention. So they turn themselves on, they record the game and broadcast the game, turn themselves off. So it's been, I think we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from the families, the players, etc. Some of the numbers associated with this, we were seeing typically anywhere from 60 to 200 views or viewers per game at Everett Park when we were using these systems. Now, we decided to go ahead and expand use of those systems at the new park at Deer Path, and we've added 8 more systems, 4 for baseball and 4 for field sports, soccer, lacrosse, football. Now, the soccer, lacrosse, football work a little bit differently, and we're going to see that in a second. But again, very useful, and I think they're going to be greatly appreciated. These are high-definition cameras, as we will soon see, and again, they run on their own schedule and do not require a lot of intervention or maintenance. This is an example of a soccer game. I believe this was the game on March 11th. This is our first game of the year. You'll hear some wind noise coming through the audio. Now, there's some numbers associated with this game. We had 265 views from 61 different unique devices. So on average, people are going in there around 4 times, recurring basis of going there 4 times. We had 1 international viewer located in Germany. So the camera tracks, and it does a fairly good job of tracking the activity. We have a streaming site that's associated with all this media. So, and that's located at watchlfsports.com. It's also reachable via the app. Now, we retain 30 days of game information, and families, players can make downloads or create highlight clips of their own play and download and send those to friends. So we think it's going to be something that's fairly popular. Now, in regard to cameras, we want to talk about another type of camera. About a year ago, we installed a beach camera. We had a lot of requests for people saying, I'd like to see the condition of the water, how rough it is, what are the conditions of the beach. So we put this up about 12 months ago, and it remains very popular today. We thought we would do the same thing with Deer Path, so on the northwest corner, we went ahead and put a camera up that kind of aims down at the entire park. So these both are available via the app. Now, I'll talk a little louder on this one. It's something we wouldn't have seen a year ago. If you notice the community camera on the left, those are droplets. It's actually raining during this game. So they're playing during a rain event here. And again, we wouldn't have seen that a year ago. And again, that's the wind noise that you're picking up. Now here's an interesting shot. We have a couple of aspiring pitchers. This is opening day 2023 and opening day 2024. I'll let you make your own judgments.
Don't judge the form. It got where it needed to go.
So to kind of bring it back around, all these applications and functions are available via the app. So you can look up schedules, you can watch games. We've created a Deer Path Park category, And so it's all available through the app. Or people can go directly to the Watch LF Sports website from their TV, from their iPad, from whatever, to view games. Now, going forward, we know we have a lot of future possibilities with technology. So there's a lot available in terms of video analysis, of mechanics around play. There's a lot available as far as coaching tools and tips associated with the video, some of the video we just watched. And we're also looking at concessions and talking to a potential concessions provider about mobile ordering and delivery. So it won't stop here. We think we have an excellent infrastructure to build upon. And so we feel we can add systems as needed to any part of that park. Okay? All right. That is the presentation. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to.
Are there any questions?
I just have a comment, Jim. You know, it just seems to me at every step along the way, you've exceeded our expectations. And I genuinely want to thank you and your entire team and really the whole staff. I mean, this is amazing. As I think back to 2019 when Jim and I were on City Council and we first approved the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, which essentially evolved to the project behind Deer Path. I never could imagine what the end result would be, and clearly you have really done an exceptional job, and I just want to thank you for not only carrying through that vision but making it even more so. I mean, the only thing that's missing is maybe Harry Carey announcing the games, and maybe you can do an AI version of that, and or whomever. I mean, for those of us who are old enough, Jack Brickhouse, you know. Yeah. But you know, just thank you for all the work that you've done. It's just it's exceptional, and you know, I'm excited for the future.
Yeah, and it's such a neat place. I'll be honest with you, it's such a neat place to work because we have these opportunities. Development of this park is a big opportunity for us, and we have such a great group of people in IT, and with our support of our city manager, regardless of how he pitches, he's still supportive. So it's a dream. It's wonderful working here.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Jim, that was a very lovely presentation. I wanted to ask you how the word is getting out about the ability to watch the game.
So that's a good question. So we received our signage last week, and they were put up Friday evening. What we had seen prior to that was we weren't seeing heavy baseball numbers. The families were going right to the diamonds. They were avoiding the pavilions, and consequently, they weren't tuning in because they were unaware. So we feel that we'll see comparable numbers to what we've seen at Everett before regarding baseball. We have seen excellent numbers in the field sports, typically 100 to 200 views on any game, whether it's lacrosse or soccer, is a given. So, but we were using some temporary signage for that too down the alley. So, but we expect the baseball to improve, and we think it'll be a big plus.
Great. Yeah, I would just encourage your team to stay in touch with Dana and the Recs department so that they can continue to push this out and spread the word because it's just fabulous.
Yeah, and I tell you, the signage helps so much because we have these visiting organizations from other cities, and they're totally unaware of it, and I think it's a big plus when they can view it as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. Any other comments, questions from the audience? No? Okay.
Thank you.
Jim, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is an opportunity for citizens to address the city council. Is there anyone who would like to come up to the dais and address the council? When you come up, if you could please state your name and address.
I'm Vince Sparrow, 1249 Inverleith. His neighbors, and they volunteered me to come up and speak.
Okay, very good.
At the last moment, but anyway. We were concerned about the incident in our neighborhood with the home invasion, and just wanted to get any feedback that you may all have on what's going on and what additional steps can be taken to safeguard the neighborhood.
Okay. This might be a good opportunity for
Yeah,
Deputy Chief.
I can jump in
Acting
on
Chief
this
Lang.
and just say, while I don't know that this is the appropriate forum to get into the specifics of the incident, certainly our police department staff, I know they're actively investigating the situation, but they'd be more than happy to sit down with any and all of you to have, I think, a more thorough and comprehensive Q&A to understand your concerns and to address them. So I'd be happy to set that up. Our interim police chief, Mike Lang, is here. Mike, I don't know if there's anything you want to add further to that, but you're welcome to if you want.
Yeah, I just say that this specific, type of incident is extremely isolated. I apologize for not being able to get more. It's a very isolated incident. We are actively investigating it. We're working with multiple outside agencies as well.
Could you come up to the microphone?
I apologize about that. No problem. Yeah, I just want to say that this specific incident is a very, very isolated incident. The overall type of crime like this in Lake Forest is exceptionally rare. We are working with multiple outside agencies to conduct a pretty extensive investigation, so this is something that every single day we're working towards. I definitely understand your concerns, for real. But yes, I would definitely be more than happy to meet, whether it's a group of people in your community or at the police station, wherever it might be more comfortable for you all, to have a more in-depth discussion on it. So.
We have a question here. Someone from the police department came out, and we had probably 50 people. Yeah, 50 people there, and it was fantastic.
Great.
And we were given a great sense of security.
Okay.
That there are, I think, 3 different types of the teenagers from Waukegan or North Chicago, just seeing if a car is open and taking the car. And literally, we have a neighborhood chat. You could see it every minute. They were trying a different house. And you responded terrifically. I guess at one point, the policeman came and they were pulling away so you couldn't do anything. But this type of escalation seemed, there was nothing like this at that discussion. So I guess they were talking about gypsies who go up to the 2nd floor, but usually they're kids. And obviously this is way beyond the realm that any of us anticipated. So are you thinking this is obviously not Waukegan or North Chicago, it was more planned, or?
Yeah, and again, not to get into the specifics to divulge too much about this investigation, but we do think this is very isolated. And in terms of it, being like a planned, like to that specific house, we find that that's actually not the case. We find that it's very like a random, or in terms of most people that go into homes don't want to confront somebody.
That's what we're
And we're, as again, not to divulge too much on the investigation, but we don't believe this was a targeted incident, right? That it was one person specifically, right, that was targeting that house. So.
And I'll just jump in. I don't know that this is the appropriate forum for an extended Q&A session. I think there's probably more productive avenues for doing that. And so I would just ask if you guys want to set up a meeting with the interim chief of police. I think that's probably a more productive approach.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to. And again, I'm glad somebody came out before. Happy to come out again and talk maybe a little more detail about it then. Yeah.
It's really to thank you for coming out before, is what my point.
Okay,
was.
right, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
I do have a.
Okay, could you state your name and address, please?
Sure. Well, first I have to like to say I'm a terrible public speaker, so bear with me. My name is Kate Galloway, and my address is 525 Greenvale. I am a resident of that neighborhood, but I just wanted to still talk because I'm also concerned about the regularity of crime in general in Lake Forest. And I feel that we now have a reputation among these gangs as being an easy target, and it does apply to us all. For those that might not know, my neighbor's house was kicked into, the door kicked down. She's 87 years old, and she was restrained. That was left out of the police report. That is significant. It might be isolated, but I know of several other incidents where homes have been broken into with homeowners' home near my neighborhood. My neighborhood seems to be a significant target. My concern is what happens when they want to break into the home with a teenager babysitting, or a paralyzed person, or a gun owner. All of these people are in my neighborhood and others in Lake Forest. And if it's not taken more seriously, you will have a bigger problem on your hands. So I welcome the meeting, but this is all of our problem. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I will just sort of conclude that by saying that public safety is a primary concern of the city and the council, as expressed by the resources that we are planning on applying to public safety going forward. So thank you for your comments. All right, the next item is committee reports, of which there are none this evening, followed by items for omnibus vote consideration. I'm going to read all of the items. If any of the aldermen have one they would like removed or taken separately, please let me know after the completion of the reading. Item 1, approval of the check register for the period of March 23rd through April 26th, 2024. Number 2, approval of ordinance terminating Special Service Area 29 and declaring surplus to be refunded to impacted property owners. First reading, and if desired by the council, final approval. Item 3, consideration of an ordinance amending the City of Lake Forest Code regarding Class I-1 liquor license. First reading and appropriate final, or if appropriate, final approval. Item 4, approval of a recommendation from the Parks and Recreation Board and the Public Works Committee to award the West Park Tennis Court Reconstruction Design Project to Capur and Associates, and authorize the city manager to execute an agreement in the amount of $22,650 to include a 10% contingency in the amount of $2,200 for a total cost of $24,850. Item 5, award a one-year extension of the city's contract with Wax Water Services for valve exercising service, included in the operating capital budget for the sum of $22,438. Item 6, award a one-year extension of the city's contract with Consulting Engineering Incorporated for leak detection service, included in the operating capital budget for the sum of $22,508. Item 7, approval of a recommendation from the Public Works Committee to award the Walden Ravine design to Hay and Associates and authorize the city manager to execute an agreement in the amount of $119,000 to include a 5% contingency in the amount of $5,595 for a total cost of $124,595. And finally, approval of a recommendation from the Public Works Committee to award the Cemetery Ravine design to Living Waters Consultants and authorize the city manager to execute an agreement in the amount of $49,750 to include a 5% contingency in the amount of $2,400 for a total cost of $52,150. Are there any items that members of the council would like removed or taken separately? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the omnibus items?
So moved.
Okay, I believe this is a roll call vote.
Alderman Weber?
Aye.
Alderman Novit? Aye. Alderman Waldeck?
Aye.
Alderman Notes?
Aye.
Alderman Powers?
Aye.
Alderman Preschlack?
Aye.
Alderman Gushgarian?
Aye.
7 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Very good. The next item is old business, of which we have none tonight, and followed by new business, of which we have none tonight. Are there any additional items for discussion or comments by council members you would like to make at this time? Very good. At this time, we will move on to the next phase of the meeting, and I will introduce City Manager Jason Wishow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and it's a pleasure and always bittersweet to be able to do these, but we're going to begin the festivities tonight first with Alderman Waldeck, and I'm going to start by presenting you with the tree certificate that we routinely grant, which affords you the opportunity to have a tree planted in your honor anywhere in Ward 1. And then, of course, this wouldn't be complete without your honorary public works sign as well.
I think we have one of these somewhere in our house. Let's find out what's under here. Freshly made, Mr. Thomas, correct? Oh, I didn't see that.
Well, Joe, your time on the city council was short, but it was certainly impactful. And I know I don't want to steal everyone else's thunder, but just want to acknowledge that you were certainly the right person at the right time for this city, and I think a testament to the fact that you're a true public servant, answering the call when it was needed. And you know, the time you spend here on the council fulfills a legacy of both family service here to the city of Lake Forest, but also a career of public service for yourself, not just as an alderman, but of course your time on the bench as well. And so even if your tenure with us was brief, I just want to say on behalf of the entire city staff, thank you for being so supportive of us. It really was an honor and a privilege to work for you. And so thank you again for your service. And we wish you well in your warmer winters with Kathy moving forward. So thank you. And with that, I'll turn it over to the mayor.
Okay. Before I turn it over to the council members for their comments, I just have a general set of comments relative to both retiring aldermen. Tonight we have the honor of saying farewell and thanks for service well done. Our departing aldermen represent the best of Lake Forest. Both are sons of former mayors and members of families with a tradition of volunteering in the public interest. Each has served the council well in unique circumstances, and they deserve our praise and gratitude. Joe Waldeck, son of former Mayor Frank Waldeck, arrived on City Council in unexpected circumstances due to an unanticipated vacancy. It was my responsibility as mayor to appoint a member of the community to serve until the next election. For me, Joe Waldeck was the obvious choice. His commitment to the city, his integrity, his character are beyond reproach. Nonetheless, Joe and his wife, former Alderman Kathy Waldeck, were beginning a new chapter in their life and had every reason to decline my request that he return to serve the city. Keeping in character, Joe immediately agreed to put his plans on hold and commit to another tour of duty. On behalf of the city, I offer him heartfelt thanks for his service. Jim Preschlack is also the son of a former mayor, Jack Preschlack, and a member of a family that has provided many years of service to the community through both governmental and philanthropic endeavors. Jim was my third ward replacement on City Council in a time of significant turmoil. I'm sure he little suspected what was to come. His term was marked by COVID and contentious issues facing the council, all in the context of a newly seated city manager. Jim's intelligence, calm and deliberate demeanor, as well as his profound commitment to the community allowed him to emerge as a leader on the council when leadership was clearly required. Jim served as Finance Committee Chairman and with staff is responsible for the incredible fiscal state the city and current council are blessed with today. Jim also served as an advisor to me when times were difficult, and for that I will be forever grateful. On behalf of the city, the council, and myself, I want to offer heartfelt thanks for a job well done and service well rendered. At this time, we'll move on to comments for Alderman Waldeck, and we'll start with First Ward, Nancy Novick.
Great. I've had the distinct pleasure of sitting right next to Joe ever since he got here, and he has been a sage source of advice, a wonderful next-door neighbor, and an around-the-corner neighbor as well. And so my husband and I have known Joan and Kathy for years, and it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. I'll miss our coffees, but have fun.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Alderman Weber?
Thank you. I have a little, Alderman Waldeck. I always like to resonate with a quote. So I will start off with Socrates said, 4 things belong to a judge: to listen courteously, to answer wisely, to consider soberly, and to decide impartially. You have been patient, served with dignity and honesty in all of your decision making, and these strengths have served the city of Lake Forest very, very well. And I'll end with another quote by Lao Tzu. A leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they will say, we did it ourselves. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve with you.
Thank you.
Joe, this time of year is always that fresh start for city council, for outgoing aldermen, the remaining aldermen on council, for staff, that you get the new lifeblood coming in. And last May was certainly no exception. We had Randy coming in on the heels of a successful and unfortunately turbulent campaign in getting that new council on board. And it felt like we weren't even seated with that new council when that unexpected vacancy happened. Finding the right person to fill the vacancy quickly was really important to the health of the council at that time. We had that great momentum with the promise of what the year ahead of us was. And there's absolutely no question that Mayor Tack found that right person in you. And the answering the mayor's call, deeply appreciated by all of us, certainly understanding that point in your life, freeing up, committing your Monday nights every other week and then some is certainly not what you, I'm sure, had planned for at the time. You had definitely stepped up and into that role, bringing a collaborative temperament, open mind and perspective, weighing in on the issues that were in front of us. And while your time on council was short, it was absolutely a productive one, and it will leave its own enduring legacy on us. I've thoroughly enjoyed working alongside you over the past year and hope that the city, well, even though you're looking ahead at retirement, that the city can find some opportunities that we can tap Joe for continued service. This is certainly not goodbye, and I look forward to seeing you and Kathy around town.
Thank you, Ted. All right.
Judge, it's been stated before, your time was brief, but your impact was significant. I've had the distinct pleasure, our families have had the distinct pleasure of interacting over many, many years. My first exposure to the Waldeck family was your mom over in the public schools. And what a wonderful lady she was, and your dad also. Your wife's family, I know well. Her brother Peter and I were classmates, and certainly I know Kathy well. And you both are a family of service. While you were on the bench, my cousin John served with you on the bench also, and would speak glowingly of you. And when I reached out and said Joe was joining us, he said, "Well, finally, somebody's gonna straighten you guys out." He said hi, by the way. I spoke to him a couple days ago, and he wanted to extend a hello to both you and Kathy. I really am eternally grateful that you were able to step up, and that's very typical of somebody of your stature and Kathy's stature. You're always willing to help. You're always willing to give of yourself, selflessly, really. And I deeply appreciate you coming through for the city again, as your families have done over so many years. And I was listening to what the mayor said, his platitudes, and more than anything, I don't want you to spot him any strokes on the front or the back nine, because you know that's what he's going to be asking for. So, Joe, thank you very much for your service. Kathy, thank you for allowing him to be sucked back in. I know the Illinois Supreme Court did that with you during COVID, and your willingness to constantly serve, not just the city of Lake Forest, but people within the 19th Judicial? 19th Judicial Circuit. We're all deeply appreciative of your service, and you're willing to help. So thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Aaron. John?
Judge, I'll be short and sweet, but in true Waldeck style, you were asked to serve and you said yes. It wasn't convenient, but you hit the ground running. You did everything the city and the mayor needed you to do. You're a great man and a selfless leader, and thank you for all you've done. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you. So, Joe, I'm gonna reserve my formal comments until I address everybody on the council, because that's how I scripted out my talk. But I do want to say I enjoyed getting to know you personally at the health club, and you know, your family goes way back, and obviously Kathy does as well. And it was just a joy to hear you answer that call. And I'll reserve my cross-examination, my remarks, as I address everybody after it's my turn.
All right, thank you. Very good. Okay. At this time, we're gonna.
I have a few short comments, since my term was short. And I want to start by first saying a couple of thank yous. And the first one is to Mayor Tack. Thank you, not only for your appointment of me as alderman, but also for your unwavering confidence in my ability and my integrity to serve the city. It meant a lot. Thank you so much. And to all of my fellow aldermen, thank you for ratifying the mayor's selection, number one, and for welcoming me into your aldermanic family. I have thoroughly enjoyed all of your thoughts, your ideas, your decisions, and your plans on how to make Lake Forest a better place for all of us to live. Thank you. It means an awful lot. I need to thank city staff, and I know that if I single out some people, I'm going to forget some other people, but I'm going to go down the list, and please don't hold it against me if I don't say your name, but there are several people who have really meant a lot and means a lot to all of us on city council to make this city work as great as it does. And that's what I've been fortunate to really understand when you get to sit in this position, what great staff that we have. And I'm going to start with Mike Thomas from Public Works. Great job on the sign. Sally Swarthout from Parks and Rec, who's just recently retired. I want to thank Elizabeth Hollab from Finance. She makes words out of numbers that people can understand, like me. George Usoko, I don't see him here tonight, but I'm sure he's out somewhere doing some yeoman's work. Our assistant city manager. Dana Olson. Dana, you've been terrific in letting everybody in Lake Forest know what's happening and why it's happening. You've done a tremendous job. Kathy Zerniak, my friend, my neighbor, and the hardest working person I've ever met. Thank you for everything that you do, Kathy, for the city and for us. We go way back. Joyce Rita, who's the first person who the public meets when they come in that front door, always with a smile on her face and always willing to help no matter what. And of course, Biddy Boyer, our clerk who makes us all look good. Thank you, Biddy. I know, again, that I've left off a few names, and I apologize, but you're all so important for all that we do. Equally important are all the members of the boards and commissions that serve at the city's request. Without them and without their input, we would be here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And they're just so tremendous in giving of their time. And I have to thank the caucus for all they have done to vet all the people, interview the people, and recommend them by appointment to the mayor. It means so much to our system of government and has withstood the test of time. And for all of you involved in the caucus, thank you. And no thank you would be complete without acknowledging our city manager, Jason Wisha. Jason, you are a great leader. You are with great temperament, and you are a great fit for Lake Forest, and we are lucky that we found you. Thank you. The last two that I have are a little bit personal. Of course, my wife, Catherine, thanks for your support, for your encouragement, and for always, I had telling me what to do, but suggesting to me what I should do and how I should do it, because that's the way that she did it, and she knew how it got done. Thank you for allowing me to do this in a time when it was kind of up in the air as to what we were going to be doing in terms of spending time elsewhere, but thank you for everything. I appreciate it. My last one is my dad. He taught us all about public service, community spirit, and giving back. And that's what this is all about. My dad and my mom together. I know he's proud of me for doing the right thing. And I'll always, always remember. As I close out my time, I want to give a great welcome to our newly elected aldermen, Alice Levert and Peter Clemens. Fine choices, and the city has a bright future with you. And thank you for agreeing to serve. And I know that given the circumstances of my selection by the mayor and the duration of my appointment, I know that I will be merely recognized as an asterisk in the annals of the history of the city of Lake Forest. But ladies and gentlemen, it has been my honor, it has been my privilege and my pleasure to serve the city, and you are looking at one very proud asterisk. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, I will turn my mic off.
Jason.
Alderman Preschlak, that's going to be a tough speech to follow. But
I know.
But
Get ready.
I'd like to begin first by awarding you your tree certificate and honorary public works sign.
Okay. And did you spell my name right? A little harder than Walter. I had a couple of those over the last 6 years. And then top 10 terrace.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to ask the alderman for comments
If I may jump in real fast, I just have a couple things I want to say before I turn it over
Okay.
To all the elected officials as well, and particularly because it's been a fairly long road, the entirety of my tenure here, and so Jim, in thinking about where to begin when I was thinking about comments, I was really reflecting on your tenure in the context of our Lake Forest 101 sessions, which we started just last week, a tradition we've been doing annually now. And really the entire intent and purpose of those is to educate our community, whether they're newer residents, longtime residents just looking to get engaged about sort of the unique and fragile nature of our governance model. And as part of that program, Kathy and I put it on last week. We talk a lot about the nuances that distinguish high-performing governing bodies and contrasting that with some examples of lesser-performing governing bodies. And when explaining the attributes of those who lead for the right reasons, who hold our governance model sacred, I really think nobody better personifies that than you. And so just a couple of the attributes that we spend a lot of time talking about last week is understanding that the role of elected officials in our community is being stewards of a process that has served us well for over 100 years, something you and I have talked about more times than we could possibly recount. Certainly recognizing that the credibility of our processes and our city government are more important than just getting one's way on any particular outcome or vote. Always viewing issues through what serves the best long-term interests of all 20,000 residents, even when it's personally or politically expedient to cater to more narrow interests. Again, I don't want to steal everybody's thunder, but I just want you to say that you have really been a model for current and future aldermen in recognizing and remembering the role of an alderman, and that's in thinking about the fact that it's not about you and it's not about today. And so I just want to say thank you for that. And then on behalf of the city staff too, I just want to also say thanks for how incredibly supportive you have been of all of us. You've never been afraid to ask tough questions, and your ability to approach issues from such a dispassionate but analytical perspective has truly been impressive. And most of the time we can follow your strategic line of thinking. Sometimes it's been challenging to keep up with you. But again, I really, on behalf of all of us, we're very grateful for the support you've shown over the last 6 years. And finally, I'll just conclude by saying, because this is a bit of a milestone for me as well, you are, as you know, the last elected official leaving the dais who had any role in my hiring as city manager. And so I just want to say again, thank you for taking a chance on me, giving me the chance to work here professionally, but more than that, to be able to have my family call Lake Forest home. So very grateful for your support. May your successors be blessed with your eye for talent. And with that, again, thank you for a tremendous 6 years of service. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll hand it back to the alderman.
Very good. So at this time, we'll ask for comments from the aldermen, starting with Alderman Weber.
Thank you. So Jim, one of the first things that really struck me in learning your style is the top 10 list. And so I have put together one for you. It's a little lengthy, but I think it's... So what I've done is I put together a top 10 list of characteristics that describe Jim. The first is integrity. Jim possesses unwavering integrity to inspire confidence and maintain credibility among his colleagues. Number 2, innovation. Good leaders encourage innovation by valuing new ideas and creative problem solving. Jim recognizes that embracing change is essential to adapt and thrive in a constantly changing world. Number 3, vision. Jim has upheld the city's vision statement in all of his committee positions. Number 4, passion. Passion fuels dedication and perseverance. Jim's passion for long-term strategy and utilizing technology for efficiency has benefited the city well. Yes, thank you very much. Communication. As a leader, Jim articulates his opinions, provides guidance to staff, and listens actively to other council members and residents. Self-awareness. Jim leveraged his strengths to make informed decisions for the betterment of the city. Courage. Courageous leaders like Jim have made tough decisions and faced challenges head on, even when controversial and uncomfortable. Decision-making. Jim thoughtfully aligns each decision with the broad vision and goals of the city. On controversial issues, he carefully weighs the pros and cons and then expresses his viewpoint with conviction. Number 9, respect. He has always shown the utmost respect for city staff, residents, and council members. And number 10, gratitude. As chair of the Finance Committee, his past leadership role, his expression of gratitude goes far beyond simple courtesy. It serves as an acknowledgement of the hard work and contributions of city staff, and I'm honored to follow in his footsteps. Jim, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very nice. I'm gonna get the tissues out here. Hold on for a second.
Alderman Waldeck.
Very nice. Thank you so much.
Jim, I would echo what Jason and Eileen have just said about you. It has been great to get to know you in the last year or so, not only here, but personally. And what I'm most impressed with is you're a real financial guy, and number one. And number two, you have such a smooth and great delivery. I have to say that for everybody, that there are no bumps in the road when Jim is talking and explaining. Thank you for all of your service. I know that you've been involved in these processes for the city for years and years, and like me, I think our parents have led the way for us and paved the way, and it's great to be serving with another son of a former mayor. Thank you for everything, Joe.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Alderman Novit.
I joined the council 2 years ago. I think Jim was the first person to call and welcome me to the council. And we met for coffee, and you were so welcoming and so kind. And I really appreciate it because it made me feel like part of things. What everybody else is saying, how your intellect and your leadership, of course, same from me, and I don't want to repeat all of it. But personally, you really have been a wonderful co-alderman for me. You've made it easy to pick up the phone. You've made it easy for me to discuss things that I needed, I don't know, advice about, or just a better understanding of how the long-term impact, things to that effect. And I really, really appreciate how easy you made it for me to be a part of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you.
You've set a great example. I've tried to do the same thing as new aldermen have come on, and I applaud you for setting the stage for that for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Alderman Powers.
Jim, I first want to thank you for the energy and skill in which you've navigated the past 6 years. I know it was complicated and sometimes not all that much fun. I also want to say a phrase comes to mind that action speaks louder than words, and you've exemplified that and all you've done helping the city accomplish their goals and objectives. And then personally, I think you're a true gentleman, and it is clearly apparent that you've left Lake Forest in a better place today than when you first joined the council. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Alderman Oates.
Thank you. Jim, Abraham Lincoln is certainly not short of great sayings, but one of my favorite that I really think summarizes the act of public service the best, that really came to the forefront as I was reflecting on the last 4.5 years that you and I have been together, was you can please some of the people some of the time, all of the people some of the time, some of the people all of the time, but you can never please all of the people all of the time. Fortunately, there haven't been many instances that we've had to work through disparate issues among council or with residents. But where they have arisen, you've done a phenomenal job evaluating and understanding the issues before us, keeping our discussions and considerations on task and point, and balancing the overall well-being of the community at large. As our ranking alderman this past year, you've certainly been a steadfast leader on council, not only over the last year, but over the last 4.5 years we have been together. Since you joined council 6 years ago, you've navigated and helped the city work through The unique perspectives that 3 different mayors brought, 15 aldermen, 2 city managers, and were particularly helpful in guiding all of us and them through significant milestones over these last 6 years. Those included the daunting and extraordinarily successful process of identifying and onboarding Jason to be our new city manager, succeeding Bob when he retired. And we can all agree that Jason not only met the city's challenge, but exceeded the expectations that we all had on council, residents, and staff. Then came the COVID pandemic. You know, it brought unforeseen challenges, keeping the business of the city moving forward while we all had to participate in that process remotely through Zoom sessions. Working with local business owners on how to help them get through this process and the disruption that brought on their businesses, as well as the unexpected benefit that the pandemic had on helping our housing market. Shortly after we're coming out of the pandemic, you helped assuage resident local business safety concerns with such things as the Black Lives Matter protest in Market Square. It was a very sensitive time as they were all just starting to reopen for business. And the community was dealing with a lot of uncertainty. In the last 5 years alone, you've been a process of helping the city have our AAA bond rating reaffirmed, and that's no small task. And certainly your leadership on finance this last year has helped maintain the strength of our city. In chairing Public Works, you and I worked together, and I got the opportunity to see firsthand how you ran meetings like that. And you know, your things that stood out, I was focusing on getting through meetings productively and efficiently. And how do you managing the staff's time as well as possible on our own time. And then with regard to finance, when Jed left council, those were big shoes to fill. And you took on those responsibilities without missing a step. I also would be remiss not to talk about caucus. It's been touched on, but they, as much as ever, need our support. And you really provided invaluable work towards supporting that. You know, their efforts on behalf of making Lake Forest a better place, the governance and ensuring that their efforts were not being undermined. So thank you for that. Last, and perhaps most importantly, as it's been touched on, is just evident every time you're interacting with staff. It's making, we all see the effort that you make to make sure you're understanding what's important to them, what do they need, and acknowledging their invaluable contributions. I mean, you've set the standard for, as Eileen noted, how we all need to act and behave on council. You have my deepest and heartfelt thanks for your tireless work and commitment to the betterment of Lake Forest, representing all of us. You're leaving the city and council in a healthy place, and your legacy will be on our work carrying that forward with the leadership examples you set.
Thanks, Ted. Thank you very much. That's really nice.
And last, but certainly not least, Alderman Kashgarian.
Well, thank you, Mayor.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. So this is a point in time that I've not been looking forward to be quite honest, but it's time to acknowledge all that you've done. But I thought I would start this with a quote, and the quote's from Muhammad Ali. And he famously said, "Service is the rent we pay for the privilege of living on earth." And I think you personified this. This can be said of so many in our community, so many. Currently, right now, we have over 120 community members serving on boards and commissions. This is what makes Lake Forest, which is genuinely special. And I think sometimes we get caught in the weeds, but we don't realize how wonderful our community is. And it's primarily as a result of our volunteers. Tirelessly giving of their time, periodically being criticized, but knowing and understanding the process and putting faith in that process. understanding the end result is what's going to keep this town special. And Jim, that's you. But before I talk about you, I want to talk about all the spouses of all the volunteers, 120, plus the 9 elected officials here, plus the elected officials on both school boards 67 and 115. I want to say thank you to them, because while we're serving, they're picking up the slack elsewhere. But I especially do want to thank Paula Preschlack. She's a wife, a mother of 2 great kids, Lillian Stanley, a daughter, an educator, and now an author. Paula recently lost her dad last winter, correct? And yet Jim has been able to serve the community without a hitch. Paula has been by his side helping support him. So before I thank you, I want to thank Paula for your time on caucus, your 6 years on HPC, and also as a chair on HPC, and for your 6 years on city council. I think we owe all of our spouses a debt of gratitude, because without them picking up the slack, as I said, this community wouldn't have the community volunteers, and it wouldn't be so special. So I think we owe them a debt of gratitude. So my thanks to Paula and all the other spouses that have allowed us to serve. So thank you. But now my relationship with Jim. Sometimes sitting out in the audience, you may not notice it on the dais, because he and I tend to think in a somewhat similar fashion, but Jim and I have very different political backgrounds. Jim and I don't have similar state and national ideologies. But very quickly you realize that those ideologies that you might have on the state and federal level completely melt away when you deal with municipal governance. And really, ultimately, the vast majority of services we as citizens in this entire country receive are as a result of what happens at the municipal level. Some of you may know that I had a contested election 6 years ago with an individual that was very capable and highly qualified, and who I'm glad to say is a friend of mine. But Jim, because he believed in the process, supported me and helped me navigate those waters of a contested election, because he believed in what the caucus said and believed in what the caucus did. So Jim is a great steward of the process, and I thank you for that. During my onboarding time, Jim spent a lot of time asking what I thought were dumb questions, and he kept reassuring me they're not dumb questions. These are things that most people may not be aware of, and Jim directed me to the appropriate department heads. Back at that time, do you remember you had an onboarding book? You remember that? We don't do it anymore, but you shared it with me and said, if you have any questions, call. And Jim was a tremendous help in terms of getting me up to speed. He explained to me current issues succinctly with no bias. What comes to mind is the Elwha Foundation. At that point, we were in sort of a rocky position with wildlife discovery and the Elwha Foundation, and Jim did a great job of bringing me into the realm of understanding what was there and how we could make it better. He's always willing to share his time. We have disagreed at times, but it hasn't been apparent to people out there, because we've chosen to have our private discussions looking for areas where we can work together and to collaborate. That's the type of man Jim Preschlack is. Not airing personal grievances, and not unnecessarily, and quite frankly, wrongly, creating public doubt. Jim's not that guy. Jim is always looking out for the city of Lake Forest and how we can serve our residents the best. So Jim, I commend you on stepping above the fray, not getting dragged down where others would like you to dwell. But remember, when you lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas, and you avoided that. Thank you so much. You know, you have an affable way of taking on any challenge and striving to do the best. You're always willing to commend staff. And quite honestly, when appropriate, you're always willing to ask more of them when needed. And I think Jim really is the ideal alderman. It's not a rubber stamp. We don't always tell staff, great job. And he's more than willing, in an appropriate fashion, to ask more if needed. And I think the staff respects you immensely because of that. And I know I'm going long, but I'm taking the privilege of being the last one. And he's always viewed public service as a privilege and an honor, not a right. So thank you. And although tempting as it may be, as we've seen in the past, you've not sought out any aggrandizement. You've not sought to seek yourself, to put yourself above others. You've always been a co-equal on this council. And you've very adeptly avoided the Dunning-Kruger effect. I'll let you guys look that up. Mahatma Gandhi said the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. So Jim, I just want to simply say thank you for your service. You have paid your rent forward, for sure, and you've clearly found yourself. So thank you for your service to the city of Lake Forest. And thank you for being a good friend. Thank you for being a great alderman. And I look forward to seeing you in the future.
Thank you. Oh, I gotta go. Thank you. No, thank you so much. That's great. I really appreciate all the kind words. Very much appreciated. So maybe not 100% accurate, but very much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you very much. Joe, you are no asterisks. Okay, I can tell you that. Thank you for stepping up when asked, and sorry it wasn't for longer. And hope you and Kathy stay involved in our community. You and your family have done so much for Lake Forest over the years. A really incredible selfless service. And you'd make a great first gentleman of Lake Forest someday. Nancy, thank you for your service on the ZBA with Gorton and now on the City Council. Enjoyed our time together on the Public Works Committee. Thanks for all your good questions, and thanks for caring so much about our community. John, thank you for your service on the Caucus Committee, on District 115 School Board, the Friends of Parks and Rec, and now on the Council. It was fun serving with you this past year. Your pragmatic management experience has been a great addition to the Council. Our community is lucky to have you. Keep up the great work. Ted, thank you for your service on the BRB and the ZBA and on the Council. Blessed are the peacemakers. Your calm demeanor has been much appreciated, and you always made decisions based on what was in the best long-term interest of Lake Forest. Thank you for leading the way in Ward 2 for the past 4 years. Randy, thank you for your service on council and as mayor, and for your steady and thoughtful leadership this past year, especially on our possible new police headquarters. Our meetings and deliberations have been efficient, fun, and productive, almost like a successful routine spinal surgery. Keep up the great work with our staff, council, and residents. Lake Forest is lucky to have you. You're thoughtful, intelligent, pragmatic, and nonpartisan leadership. Rich, at home. Rich, hi. Thank you for your service on the BRB, various strategic ad hoc committees, and now on the council. Your executive engineering background will continue to be extremely helpful as we further contemplate a new police headquarters and continue to invest in upgrading all aspects of our city's infrastructure. Keep up the great work. Eileen, thank you for your service, your years of service on the Cemetery Commission, multiple planning and beautification committees, on the Caucus Committee and as past president, and for the last 4 years on council. Thank you for the pragmatic and fiscally responsible leadership that you brought to the Environmental Sustainability Committee as member and its chair. Thank you for always advocating for increased community education to bring about positive change in our environment, instead of calling for bans on things like single-use plastics and gas-powered leaf blowers. Thank you also for your strong support of our beautiful new turf field at Deer Path Park, and for making sure that it was done in the most environmentally friendly way possible. Also, thank you for stepping up as finance chair for the next 2 years. You're going to do a fantastic job. Era, what can I say? It was an absolute pleasure to serve with you in Ward 3. You always kept it fun, and you always advocated for what's in the best long-term interest of Lake Forest, no matter what. Thank you for your major contributions to our Parks and Rec department and to the Friends Foundation. You did so much in so many ways, from building our Parks and Rec master plan, to supporting all of our fun community events, to raising a lot of money for our new rescue boat, and for our new pedestrian boardwalk coming to the beach this fall. But thank you especially for your exceptional leadership in supporting our amazing turf field throughout our community's 18-month evaluation and design process and its completion. This new field is another legacy asset that will keep giving to our community for generations. It wouldn't have happened without your leadership, sense of humor, right? You needed that. Commitment to all of our community development processes, and a focus on what's in the best long-term interest of all the residents now and in the future. Thank you also for your leadership and service as our PPL chair and our current Public Works chair. I'll be calling you this winter to make sure the Waukegan roads are plowed on time. Thank you, Pete Clemens, for your service on the BRB and as the caucus president, and now on the council. You'll do a great job for our community. Thank you, Alice Levert, for your service on the District 67 School Board with St. Mary's and our hospital, and now on the council. Your successful business career and love of our community will be a major asset. You have big shoes, and you're filling nobody's. So looking back over the past 6 years on council, 3 rules of thumb come to mind. First, something always comes up, a challenge to solve or an opportunity to consider, most of the time when you least expect it. Number 2, when this happens, it's always better to work as a team, in partnership with our incredible staff, and to trust our proven city and community development processes. Council oversight and input is essential, helpful and productive. Micromanaging or going it alone, not so much. Number 3, if you base your decisions on what's in the best long-term interests of Lake Forest residents now and in the future, what could appear to be tough decisions become a lot easier. Like tens of thousands of volunteers before us, we've been able to serve in partnership with our amazing city staff and to do our small part to keep Lake Forest special because of the unique caucus-based local governance model we've had in place for the last 90 years. Take a look around. If you love the historic character of Lake Forest, the beautiful open spaces, our historic downtown and neighborhoods, our lakefronts and parks, our great schools, our safe streets, and relatively low taxes, they're in a large part a product of countless hours of volunteer work from qualified, civic-minded volunteers that our caucus committee has actively recruited, vetted, and selected to serve the city that we all love. The caucus value proposition is compelling. Easier recruitment of high-caliber volunteers with no personal agendas leads to better decisions. Better decisions lead to better outcomes, which leads to a better quality of life for all of us now and in the future. This pattern has repeated itself for generations and given us the town and the city of Lake Forest that we all love today. It's so easy to take our caucus-based model for granted because it works so well and we are all so busy. But imagine a world without the caucus committee doing all this hard work. The number of volunteers involved in our local government would drop dramatically. So would the number of our local boards and commissions. Power As a result, and so would be consolidated in the city council. A fractious two-party system would take hold, and more agenda-driven people, politically motivated, or with access to money, would actually be the only ones to run campaigns and serve as elected officials. And based on our staggered aldermanic races, every year would be an election year. Boy, does that sound fun. As a result, staff turnover would increase, and more politically motivated decision would become the norm. Costs and taxes would go up, and the quality of life in Lake Forest would diminish over time. Our caucus committee and system is really the gift that keeps on giving. Of course, there have been ups and downs over the past 90 years. Every institution has them, but it's consistently delivered value to our community in the past, does today, and will do so in the future as well if we all do our small part to get involved and to support it. Our city has never been in a healthier position. So with respect to financing our community assets and the functioning of our boards and commissions, our city council and our quality of city staff and the delivery of our exceptional city services. Thank you to the many former and current caucus committee members and leaders for working tirelessly on our behalf to recruit so many exceptional volunteers for the benefit of all of Lake Forest. I'd especially like to thank all of the recent past caucus presidents for their service and love of Lake Forest, including Tim Newman, Chris Collins, Eileen Luby, Pete Clemens, Josh Jackson, Sheila Henrietta, and Mike Adams, King Fall, David Hunt, and Chris Bennis. If you haven't volunteered on the caucus committee or on one of our boards and commissions, please consider doing so now. Active resident participation and support is the lifeblood of our unique caucus-based governance model. Let's keep it strong for the next 90 years. In addition, sincere thanks to the incredible and reliable engine of our amazing governance model, our wonderful, professional, dedicated, talented, and hardworking city staff and leadership. Your knowledge and expertise and love of Lake Forest and management and delivery of results against our strategic priorities are second to none. One of the highlights of these past years was getting to know you all, to working closely with you and seeing you in action. Congratulations on so many jobs well done. Special thanks to Jason and Biddy and George and Kathy and Elizabeth, Diane, Mike, the Jims, Chuck and Byron, Joe, Dana, Amber, Mike, and Carl, Pete. Thank you for everything. Kurt and Julie as well. And thank you, Dad and Mr. Waldeck and all the generations of leaders that have shown us the path. And last but not least, always first really, thank you, Paula. You are my much better half for sure. Thank you for all the love and support over the last 27 years. I love you so much. And my Monday nights are now officially wide open.
At this time, as there is no further business, can I ask for a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you. Thank you.
Alderman-elect, First Ward Alderman-elect Nancy Novitt, First Ward Alderman-elect Pete Clemens, Second Ward Alderman-elect Ted Notes, Third Ward Alderman Alice Levert, and Fourth Ward Alderman Eileen Luby Weber, please step forward to be sworn in. I say that's good luck. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
Pete Clemens.
Nancy Novitt.
Ted Notes.
Alice Levert, Eileen Weber.
Having been elected to the office of Alderman
Having been elected to the office of Alderman
of the city of Lake Forest
of the city of Lake Forest
in the county of Lake,
In the county of Lake,
the state of Illinois,
the state of Illinois,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will discharge the duties of said office
and I will discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
A lot of reading on this one.
If you're looking for any pearls of wisdom, don't look to your left, look to your right.
Okay. Very good. Welcome to the Monday, May 6th, 2024, second session of the Lake Forest City Council. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Certainly, Honorable Mayor Tack,
Here.
Alderman Novitt,
Here.
Alderman Clemens,
Here.
Alderman Notes,
Here.
Alderman Powers,
Here.
Alderman Gashgarian,
Here.
Alderman Levert,
Here.
Alderman Weber,
Here.
Alderman Walder is absent. Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is election and appointment of city officers. I will read the list. These election by the city council and appointments by the mayor as required by charter and city code. This includes city supervisor Jason Wisha, city treasurer Elizabeth Hollab, city clerk Margaret Boyer, interim city marshal and collector Michael Lang, city attorney Ansel Glink, city surveyor and engineer Gowalt Hamilton Associates. May I have a motion to approve the mayor's appointments?
So moved.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Next item is comments by mayor, and we will begin with resolutions. The first is a resolution of appreciation for Ward 1 Alderman Joseph Waldeck. Whereas Joseph R. Waldeck served as a member of the City Council as First Ward Alderman and as a member of the Finance Committee from May 2023 through May 2024, and whereas Joe comes from a long line of dedicated civil servants and stepped forward without hesitation in the city's time of need, and whereas during his tenure on the City Council, Joe served on the Personnel, Compensation, and Administration Committee, whereas prior to his time on the City Council, Joe served on the Gorton Center Board of Directors and the Legal Committee, and whereas Joe has been incredibly active with the Lake County Bar Association and the Illinois Judges Association and Foundation, whereas Joe took exceptional interest in upholding the city's highest standards of integrity, transparency, and accountability in all matters, and whereas Joseph R. Waldeck devoted much time and careful attention to preserving the character of the city of Lake Forest and the quality of life that residents enjoy here, and whereas the citizens of Lake Forest recognize and deeply appreciate Joe's dedication and willingness in service to the community, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Lake Forest, Illinois, hereby expresses the profound gratitude of the citizens of Lake Forest to Joseph R. Waldeck for the loyal and faithful public service he has given by means of this resolution, which shall be spread upon the permanent records of the City Council, adopted by the City Council of the City of Lake Forest this 6th day of May, 2024.
So moved.
Can I have, okay. Second, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Are we presenting this now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. This time we'll present the resolution. Get this one right this second. All right. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a resolution of appreciation for Ward 3 Alderman Jim Preschlack. Whereas Jim Preschlack served as a member of the City Council as 3rd Ward Alderman and as a member of the Finance Committee from May 2018 through May 2024, and whereas during his tenure on the City Council, Jim served as the City Council liaison to the Audit Committee, Planning and Preservation Committee, Environmental Sustainability Committee, served on the Personnel, Compensation, and Administration Committee, and as Chairman of the Public Works Committee. Additionally, he was member of the Pension Subcommittee since May 2023, and he has served as the Finance Committee Chairman since 2023. And whereas prior to his time on the City Council, Jim served on the Historical Subcommittee for the 150th year anniversary celebration of the City of Lake Forest and the Historic Preservation Commission from 2010 through 2016, and as its chairman in 2015. Whereas Jim, in addition to his technical business expertise, has provided strategic guidance and oversight, validating and championing the city's ERP implementation, coming in on time and under budget. Whereas Jim has used his exceptional leadership skills in fostering a collaborative and cohesive environment where the Finance Committee can come together to inspire each other to enhance its overall effectiveness. And whereas Jim took special interest in upholding the city's highest standards of integrity, transparency, and accountability in all matters. And whereas Jim Preschlack devoted much time and careful attention to preserving the character of the City of Lake Forest and the quality that residents enjoy here. Whereas the citizens of Lake Forest recognize and deeply appreciate Jim's dedication and service to the community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Lake Forest, Illinois, hereby expresses the profound gratitude of the citizens of Lake Forest to Jim Preschlack for the loyal and faithful public service he has given by means of this resolution, which shall be spread upon the permanent records of the City Council, adopted by the City Council of the City of Lake Forest the 6th day of May, 2024. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. The next item on the agenda is a brief discussion of the state of the city. Since this is the transitional meeting, we felt that it would be appropriate to discuss where we're at and where we are going. As we begin fiscal year 2025, I'd like to take a few minutes to celebrate some of the city's accomplishments from fiscal year 2024. We would be here all night if I named every accomplishment, so I'll stick with a few highlights. We completed $32 million in capital improvement projects, including Deer Path Community Park Improvement Project, Forest Park Bluff Slope Stabilization, and various ravine repairs. We've obtained over $4.3 million in additional grant funding for future capital projects, maximizing the city's capital investments. Nearly $20 million in outside funding has been obtained over the last 5 years. After nearly a year of discussion and public input opportunities, the City Council approved an update to the Central Business District chapter of the city's comprehensive plan. The Committee Development Department issued over 4,500 permits. The special use permits for Gorton Center and Ellowa Farm were updated and approved, reflecting current and future use demands. We conducted a community-wide survey in the summer of 2023 with 1,450 responses. 98% of respondents rated the quality of life in the city as excellent or good. We launched casual coffee in the park meetings with aldermen last fall with strong attendance in each ward, and the aldermen also hosted spring ward meetings this April. We piloted pizza and planning in the park, s'mores and more, community engagement sessions for the Northcroft Park Master Plan process. Approximately 100 residents of all ages attended both sessions. We celebrated the official openings of Veterans Park, and hundreds of people gathered for the monument dedication in September of 2023. We completed numerous technological initiatives associated with the Deer Path Park project, including implementation of 8 automated sports cameras with which live stream and record soccer, baseball, football, and lacrosse games at watchfsports.com. In response to strong community interest, we partnered with Waste Not to bring a curbside compost collection service to Lake Forest businesses and residents. We achieved a substantial completion of the Cemetery Memorial Gardens Phase 2 project. In addition to the City Council, over 100 Lake Forest resident volunteers serve on 20 boards and commissions. These city boards provide leadership, establish policy, and oversee budgets while working hard to ensure an open and responsive government. The efforts of volunteers are instrumental in preserving the character and vitality of our community. Before we consider board and commissions appointments and reappointments, I want to share some statistics regarding what the boards and commissions accomplished this year. The City Council approved 45 ordinances that were recommendations from the Building Review Board, Historic Preservation Commission, Plan Commission, and Zoning Board of Appeals. The Historic Preservation Commission issued 18 certificates of appropriateness. 28 Building Review Board recommendations were forwarded to the City Council for consideration. 19 Zoning Board of Appeals recommendations were referred to the City Council for consideration. Each month, there are more than 10 regularly scheduled board, commission, or committee meetings with 65 plus volunteers who serve in those roles. 8 board, commission, or committee meetings occur quarterly with over 36 people serving in those roles. Thank you to all the residents who volunteer to serve on boards and commissions. Because of you, the boards and commissions process that has shaped the success of Lake Forest for nearly 100 years will continue to do so in the future. This time, we will move forward to board and commission appointments and reappointments. And just to clarify, I am reading all the names and the positions, correct? That's correct. Okay. It's a lot. Okay, we will begin with the Audit Committee. For appointment as chair, Mark Dillon. Reappointment, Fritz Hirsch. Appointment, Robert Nolan. Appointment to his own term, Brian Durkin. And appointment to her own term, Joy Larissi. And we're going to approve these en masse, correct? Okay. We'll move on to the Building Review Board. At this time, we will be reappointing Sally Downey and Sarah Lamphere. For the Cemetery Commission, we will be reappointing Robert Thornburg and Robert Warrobo. For the Gorton Board, we will be reappointing Andra O'Neill. For Historic Preservation Commission, we'll be reappointing Robin Pettit, Jeffrey Hansen, Elizabeth Dalliere, and Lloyd Culbertson. For the Library Board, we will be appointing Vince Sparrow and reappointing Heather Strong and Jim Clifton. For the Parks and Recreation Board, we will be reappointing Mark Silver, Casey Spirito, and William Sheridan. For the Plan Commission, we will be reappointing Jamie Moorhead. For Senior Resource Commission, we'll be reappointing Jill Rosa, Dennis Herman, and Wendy McKieran, and we will be appointing Mark DeWart as chair. For Zoning Board of Appeals, we'll be reappointing Henry Kleeman and Arthur Miller. For Board of Police and Fire Commissioners, we'll be reappointing as chair Matt Davis. And finally, for the Housing Trust Fund Board, we will be reappointing Chris Baker. At this time, can I have do we need a motion to approve? Yes, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? Roll call or voice? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. The next item is comments by city manager.
I'll keep it very short and sweet. I know people have elsewhere they want to be, but I just want to take the opportunity on behalf of the city staff to congratulate and welcome Alderman Clemens and Levert. I think in these reflective meetings, when we have the changing of the guard, you get a real opportunity to see how rewarding public service can be. And so we hope you will find your tenure on the city council to be just as enjoyable and rewarding. And on behalf of city staff, we look forward to working with you, to providing help and support where we can, and to continue carrying out the collective vision of the city council. So congratulations.
The next item is items for omnibus vote consideration. I will read all of the items. If there are any that the alderman would like removed or taken separately, please notify me after I've completed reading them. Item 1, approval of a resolution of appreciation for retiring members of boards and commissions as follows. Audit Committee, Ty Magnuson as chair. Zoning Board of Appeals, Peter Clemens. Croya, Stephanie Manorino and Megan Engelberg. Senior Resources Commission, Gail Strenger as chair. Public Service Award, Catherine Waldeck as chair, Deborah Saran and Prue Beidler. And Parks and Recreation, Timo Berger. Item 2, approval of regularly scheduled meetings of the Lake Forest City Council for the year 2025. Are there any items that the alderman would like removed or taken separately? May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? Can we have a roll call vote?
Alderman Weber?
Aye.
Alderman Novit? Aye. Alderman Clemens?
Aye.
Alderman Notes?
Aye.
Alderman Powers?
Aye.
Alderman Gushgarian?
Aye.
Alderman Levert?
Aye.
7 yeas, 0 nay, motion carries.
Very good. We move on to old business, of which there is none this evening, and then new business, of which there is none this evening. Are there any additional items for discussion or comments by city council members?
Mr. Mayor, can we
Yes.
have opportunity for public comment in this meeting?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Okay. At this time, we'll ask for public comment. Is there anyone that would like to address the council? Okay. Hearing none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
May I have a second? No, you want to stay?
I heard a
Oh,
second.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. We are adjourned.